Hello and welcome back to Nat Scraps. I hope you've had a wonderful inky day. Today we are back with part 3 of the September stamp of the month, and this is the last card that I'm making. And this one I thought would be a really short video, but what I decided to do was do it in real time. So what you're going to see is me coloring in real time and putting this card together. I think it's about 14 minutes, something like that, roughly, depending if I cut a little bit more out here and there of just me fluffing around. But rather than have it sped up at 400 or 600 times my normal speed, which is quite often what I do, I have just gone ahead and done this straight out of the box at normal speed. So I'm probably blabber on in a couple of stages where I am just talking and really not making sense because filling space. Apart from that, I hope you enjoy. So here I am just going to stamp this up. You can see I've also stamped it a couple other times. You can see one there that I've already coloured. That when I did this, I had been doing those big long plays that I had done in the last 2 videos, and it's been a whole day sort of just, there's other cards that I created, but I'd thrown them out to the sides and everything else. And I was cleaning up my bench and I had this one piece that was left over, and I went, oh, I'm going to quickly grab some pencils and just color over the top of that. And that's what I did. So I just grabbed some pencils, whipped over the top, and made this card and left it on my bench. And everybody's walking past going, oh, no, I really like that card. I really like that card. I went, oh, I better do that as my third card. So I couldn't decide which one I was going to use as my third card. And this was the one that I ended up choosing in the end. It is relatively simple, guys, and you could do it in a couple of minutes if you really wanted to. Now, one of the mistakes that I did with this is I stamped and I colored in a little bit too soon. So you can see there's just a tiny little bit of yellow on that first image there. And what I had done was I had stamped it and then I went straight into color it, and I had not let that ink sit long enough. Now this one here, I probably still should have let it stay just a little bit longer because it still did smudge a little bit, and you'd seen there where I am stamping that I stamped quite repeatedly to get a really nice solid image there, knowing also that I was going to color over the top, and sometimes that dulls down the image a little bit as well. I started off there with the yellow pencil, and there's no real huge trick to this. It is just layering up the colors till you get it right. And I think sometimes when we don't get blending when we're using pencils and things like that, it's because we kind of lay down one layer and then go to the next color and expect it to magically all work together. But I find this is the same whether I'm trying to blend with pencils or blend with a blending brush, and that is that you need to go back and forth between the colors and really put layers of it on, and then keep swapping over until you get a really nice flow. So you can see I've got I think it's the natural set of the new colouring pencils from Close to My Heart, and I'm just going to have a quick dig in my cupboard. Can you see the rattling of papers that I've thrown on top? And oh, sorry, it's the Bright and Vivid set in the new Colorista coloured pencils that we have in our range. And I pulled out the Sunburst Yellow, the Fiery Red, and the Dragon Citrus, which was an orangey color, and I'm alternate between them. So I've started off with the yellow, the orange, and then going in there with the red, and just laying down that color until I get the intensity I want. Now, another thing that I'm doing wrong here is I'm working on the soft side of my craft mat, and you'll see me when I go to do the butterfly, when I go to really kind of burnish the color in there, I'm like, whoa, why is this so hard? And it's because I've got this soft mat underneath me. Much better off if you're working on a hard surface and not a soft surface like I was. And I don't know if you have watched the other few videos that I did. I was rather sick the other week, and when I went to re-record colouring this one, I was still sick. I'd done 2 voiceovers of the other videos, and I had a little bit of dose of COVID, and I was just like, oh, I'm not going to do it again because like I just can't bring myself to do it. So I was being a bit lazy too. So yeah, here you can see I sort of start and then I decide, hang on, this is what I need to do. Flip this mat over and work on the nice hard surface so I can get a little bit more pressure onto those pencils and burnish that cardstock a little bit more. As I'm doing this, I'm just fixing around the edge of those butterflies a little bit and adding a little bit more color. When I hadn't colored the butterfly, it looked all right, but I wanted that yellow to pop against that red a little bit more, so I went back in and added a little bit more of the red around the outside edge there. Now, exactly the same as when I was doing the colors in the background, here I want to go in and I want to blend between the two colors. So I'm bringing that orange in, I'm going back with my yellow, and I'm going to go over where the two colors join. I will then go back to the orange and I'll repeat again until I'm happy. So don't expect this to happen in one layer. Expect to go backwards and forwards a bit until you are 100% happy with this. Now, if you don't know what the Stamp of the Month is, Stamp of the Month is a fantastic program that Close to My Heart has. If you are a VIP, which is you can sign up for a 12-month membership as a VIP, every month they offer the Stamp of the Month free with an order over $80. The stamp sets are so cute, and they've just brought in a new thing where you can get some thin cuts with the stamp sets as well. And if you are not a VIP, I believe it's $9 with an $80 order, and you can also get the stamp set. So it is a really inexpensive add-on bonus that you can get with any of your orders. Okay, so I'm just about finished here on the colouring of my butterfly, and then I'm going to make this into a card. Now, if I redid this one again and refilmed it, there's a couple of things I'd do. I wouldn't do it quite as short as what I did, and I think I might have chosen a different background paper to layer it on. And it's funny, I'm so transparent in things like that. Sometimes I really just don't think I've done the right thing, but I'm not going to go back and re-record it. Like, as I said, I was crappy on this day anyway. But yeah, I just prefer to be honest with you and go, there's things I would change up. Here, I've just torn the bottom off it. I think it's so like one layer at this stage that having that torn edge on the bottom just gives that a little bit of difference when you place it onto a card front. And I'm just blending a little bit of black. Now, one of my favorite things is sunsets and sunrises and things like that. And I love the color combinations that sunsets, sunrises give us. And with this particular card, bringing in a little bit of black blending around the outside edge gives that dusk feeling of, you know, nighttime is coming. So I've just done that little bit of blending, and then I am going to pop a little bit of shimmer tape on. Our shimmer tape comes in several different colors. You can check it out on the web store, but it's a beautiful glittery tape, and I love using it as accents on little cards and bits and pieces. Some of the basic colors that comes in silver, gold, black, and a few different ones, as well as our color of the year. Now, it has a baking tape on it. I didn't want it quite as wide as what it is here, so I'm just going to put a couple of dots of adhesive on. I'm going to lay it on my trimmer where I want to cut this so that I can get it nice and even. Now, the couple of dots of adhesive on the back of that will mean that it's going to stay in place while I cut it, and I'm going to slice it down to the thickness I want. So then I'm removing that backing tape and I'll place it on the card. Now, you'll also see me use my mat here to make sure that I'm getting this nice and even along the bottom of my card. So I'll line up my card base so that it's straight down, and using that grid I'm going to line up where I want the tape to go along the bottom. So that mat always helps if I've got it underneath when I'm working and can quickly line something up on it. That just adds another little detail on the card, and then I'm going to choose some background paper and cut that up to lay the card base on. I had just gone through my stash papers, found something in that orange, red, yellow tone, looking for something like that. And I believe I found this in one of the autumn ranges from last year. I think, yeah. So I found something that I thought would match in, and that's what you do when you're at home. You just go through your stash, find something that suits. There was no particular rhyme to reason, or I didn't plan to use any different certain papers in this one. I just went for something that I knew I had in my stash. Normally I would cut it to size, but I didn't quite know what card front size I was making here. I am using the Australian card front, which is an A5. It's slightly different to the American card bases, which are a slightly different size to here. And so once I'd trimmed the nice edge that I wanted, I just marked where was going to be the right length and placed it on. We're going to add that on to the front. Now you could definitely use foam tape and pop this up. You could do a couple of different things here. And I think I mentioned earlier about how I would change a couple of things. I wouldn't have had such a long end on that printed paper. I would have had it a bit shorter, maybe even torn it and ripped it so it was ripped along a similar line as the other. I'm looking here now. I have done a little finish on the butterfly. I'm bringing in the clear shimmer brush. Now you do need to be careful here if you haven't got a ink that is water resistant, that if you go in here using the shimmer brush, you may smudge what you have done. I've added that shimmer onto the butterfly, and then I'm going to pop that aside and dry, and I've come back at a later date and I'm going to add the liquid glass over the top. The liquid glass is a fantastic product that we do not use and demo as much as we should. This leaves like an epoxy button kind of finish on your area that you choose. You can pinpoint very small areas to add the liquid glass to and make that effect happen. It's great for like eyes on animals and lots of other tiny little details that we can use. There's other similar ones out like glossy accents and things like that. This is the close to my heart one, and I found it really, really good. You'll see I went around the outside edge first and then filled in the center. You can kind of push it, and you'll notice in a second I'll bring in a little needle and I'll push right out into the tiny, tiny detailed edges. And I will also then pop any little bubbles or fill any little holes in there as well. And while I'm just doing that final tidying up, that is pretty much the end of the video, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this series. I'm going to beg you now to hit the like button, the subscribe button, and leave me a comment. I didn't get many comments last week, so I'd love to hear from you guys. See what you think, see what your favorite card is. I would love to know. In the meantime, I hope you guys have a wonderful, scrappy, arty week, and that you are getting your hand on your craft materials no matter where you are and what you're up to. Thank you so much for spending this time with me and watching my videos. I hope to see you guys soon. We've got 30 days of sketches starting at the end of this month. And then I have lots of wedding photos from my nephew's wedding with my beautiful kids as bridesmaids and groomsmen coming up. So we've got lots of wedding layouts coming in the next few weeks. And I hope you'll stick around and subscribe so you can get to see those videos. Other than that, guys, take care. Bye.